Good Monday morning. I hope that everybody had a great Easter. I'm actually recording this a little bit early, so I can't tell you how my Easter went yet. But today is Monday, April 13th, and I am going to do our ELA or reading instruction for today. I am going to start by just showing you the packet. So this was the packet that you picked up last week for this week. Again, on the front is our teacher contact information. So if you have any specific concerns or questions, reach out to your child's teacher. We have our ELA table of contents. And then you'll notice that the first page is a resource page, and it has a text which is called Vulture View. And I just wanted to show you that this text is coming right from, we call this in my room the big book, our big reader, and this is Vulture View. I will be reading that for a different day during this week. So our essential question or focus for this week is, how do animals survive in nature? So all of the texts that we are reading are about ways that animals survive. So today I am going to read Go Wild, and I am going to ask the kids before I read to take a picture walk through the book. And I want you to make a guess as to, do you think that this is a fiction book? Do you think this is a nonfiction book? And why? And if you don't remember, I will refresh your memory. A fiction book is typically a story. It has settings, characters, it has plots, a problem and solution, and it has events. Nonfiction is true or realistic information. So when we're looking at this, I hope that you guessed this was nonfiction, because it is. And the biggest clue is the fact that it uses real photos. Now, that's not always the case, but typically when we see real photographs, that tells me that it's nonfiction. And since our essential question is, how do animals survive in nature? Today we're going to read about how animals in the wild find food. So this is going to be real facts about how animals find food. All right, and what animal do we see on the front? That's a tiger. All right. Animals need food to live and grow, but all animals don't eat the same things. Stop for a minute. That's true about us, isn't it? All people need food to live and grow, but do we all eat the same things? I don't think that we do, right? Some families have certain things that they eat, and other families may eat differently. So that can be a connection to ourselves, that we are the same as these animals in that we do need that food, but we eat differently. Some big animals, such as hippos, eat plants. A hippo can eat more than 130 pounds of grass. Wait a minute, 130 pounds of grass? That's as much as a small adult. So could you imagine eating 130 pounds worth of food in a day? That's crazy. Some small animals eat plants too. A squirrel eats loads of plant seeds. They like nuts and grains. A squirrel can smell a nut and find it even in the snow. Wow, that would be a clue about how the squirrel survives, right? Because if I think about the snow, it would hide the nuts, but a squirrel has a strong sense of smell that allows them to sniff out that nut even in the snow. So when I think about these two pages, both of these animals, even though they were different sizes, right? The hippo is huge and the squirrel is tiny. They both eat, who knows? Plants, right? Different types of plants. Oh, These two animals do not look like plant eaters to me. Some animals hunt and eat other animals. First, this big cat runs fast to catch its meal. Then it will use its claws and teeth to eat. Now, this cat is a cat like this, but this is a different type of cat. Who knows what this big cat is? It starts with our ch sound, our ch. Did you say cheetah? That is right. And the cheetah is actually the fastest land animal. Frogs and toads seek insects and snails to eat. A big frog goes after mice too. But frogs and toads have no teeth, so they must gulp down their meal. Let's think about these two animals. I'm going to bring this a little closer. So they are both meat eaters, but the way that they get their meat is very different, right? The word that they used for the cheetah was that it hunts, and then it uses its claws. Pretend that you have big claws, and then it uses its big teeth and bite up that meat. But a frog and a toad, they're very different, right? They have no teeth, so they have this really fast, long, sticky tongue. Stick out your quick tongue. Ready? Do it again. And what they do, it's kind of cool. I'm going to put this picture really close. That frog is getting a cricket in that picture, and the tongue is very long. You can see it's almost as long as the frog's whole body, and it unrolls and it snatches that cricket, and it's sticky, and then it rolls it back in. But since it can't chew, it just has to take a big gulp. Are you ready to take a big gulp with me? So even though these two animals eat meat, the way that they get the meat is very different. Some animals eat both plants and animals. An ostrich eats seeds and leaves, but it will search all over for insects, snakes, and lizards as well. All right, so let's think about that for a minute. An ostrich, let me get closer, it's a very big bird. An ostrich will eat seeds and leaves, but it also searches for insects, snakes, and lizards. So it eats both. A painted turtle eats plants, fish, and frogs. This reptile lives in lakes and ponds. It likes the cold water at first, but then it will come up on the land to get warm. I may have to show you guys. We have turtles at my house, so I may have to do a YouTube video of my turtles. I'll have to see if Mr. Little will let me let the turtles out to run, and I can show you our turtles. So these two animals, the ostrich and the turtle, they both live in very different habitats, right? Where the ostrich lives, we can see it looks very dry. It's a grassland. And the turtle lives in do you remember? It told us two types of water, a lake or a pond, but they don't stay in there the whole time. They are not like a fish. They can't stay underwater. They have to come up to get air, and they come up on land. A bear may start its day eating plants. Next, it may go fishing in a lake. Does the bear fish the same way that we fish? No, it doesn't use a pole. It just catches the fish in its mouth. After that, a bear may go hunting. This next part makes me laugh. Then it may even go to a campsite. Have any of you ever been camping with your family? Do you know that if you go camping, you have to really make sure you take care of your food and you lock it up? Because if not, the bears will come and eat your food. Most bears will eat plants, animals, and people food. Is there any food left here to eat? If so, a bear will find it. In the wild, animals find food in lots of places. All right, now that we have heard our text, I know you didn't actually get to read it, we are going to talk about the main idea and some details about the text. Now, I know you've already done this in your room for different text, so you should know what main idea and detail are. but I'm going to remind you in case you forget. So, our main idea of this text is kind of like if we think, what was the whole thing about? And the whole thing was about animals in the wild eat many different things. So that was the whole idea. Because if I look at any page in the book, it was about an animal and what they eat in the wild. This page, about animals and what they eat in the wild. These pages, animals and what they eat in the wild. These pages, animals and what they eat in the wild. Now, when we get down to our details, those are going to be the more specific things that we learned. So, I am going to, since I can't hear you, I wish I could hear you to give me the details, but I'm going to have to tell you the details today. So, I'm going to flip back and I am going to look at this one. I really liked the squirrel page. So, I am going to say that one idea is squirrels eat nuts and seeds. Before I write it, does anyone remember that special thing that the squirrel can use to find a nut even when it's covered in snow? It can smell it with its nose, right? So I will add, they can smell nuts under the snow. Great. And that is one of the details from the book. So I am going to flip now and look at this page. I'm going to talk about the cheetah. Do you remember how the cheetah gets its food in the wild? Cheetahs wait for their food to jump in their mouth? No. Cheetahs stick out their long tongue to get their food? No. Cheetahs hunt and catch their food. Cheetahs hunt and catch their... Now, instead of food, does anyone know a bigger, we call these fancy words in my room, a bigger word for the food that another animal eats? Starts with a pr. Prey. Awesome. Cheetahs hunt and catch their prey. All right, the last detail I am going to see if you can do at home. I am going to give you a clue though. The last two pages talked about ostriches, turtles, and bears. See if you can remember one of those ways that those animals get their food in the wilds. All right, parents, before I go, the 2 pages for today are simply high frequency words and our new phonics skill, which is the long O sound, written either with O-W, O-E, O-A, or just simply an O. So that is our skill for today. All right, have a great Monday.